Good morning, second grade. So today we're going to work on finishing our animal research projects. And if you have already started this, which you should have started 2 weeks ago, you should have some of this worksheet filled out. I'm going to share what worksheet I'm talking about because last week I had a couple families ask which one I was talking about, and I want to make sure we're all on the same page. So it's this worksheet. I'll relink it again today with today's videos. And you should already have the classification section done, the picture of your animal, and the habitat. So what we're going to work on today is finishing up these facts up here and the 3 interesting facts about your animal. And I'm going to show you how to find this information on Pebble Go. So I'm going to reshare my screen so we can share Pebble Go. Remember, you're going to sign in with the username engaged and the password learning. And you're going to find your animal. I've been using bears as my example, so I'm going to continue to use
Bear, whales,
the black bear as my example. So my first thing on my sheet that I haven't filled out yet is the height and size. So I'm going to go back to Pebble Go and I'm going to show you the height and size are found in the body. So height is talking about how tall or how long an animal is. So right here it tells me they are about 7 feet long. So underneath where it says height and size, I'm going to write 7 feet long. My next one asks me about the weight, which is also on this same page. It says they weigh 300 pounds. So I would go back to my worksheet and I would fill in the weight of 300 pounds. Then it's going to ask me the color. You can get the color just by looking at the pictures. Your animal may be more than one color. If you're doing a type of fish, it might be maybe it's blue and black, or it's white and red. You're going to write all the colors that your animal has. If your animal has more than like 4 or 5 colors, you can pick the ones that are the most. So if your animal is mostly red and blue with like a little bit of black, you could write red and blue for it, because we don't want to list every color, especially if you have a very colorful animal like a toucan or a fish that has a lot of colors to it. The next section says it has fur, feathers, or skin. I want to know what is on the outside of your animal. Now for my black bears, I can tell by looking at the outside of their body in the pictures that they have fur. So for me, I would write fur. If you're doing a bird, you might write feathers. You might write scales if you're doing a reptile or a fish that has scales on it. And maybe your animal has skin with no fur or covering on it. You could write that here for skin. I just want to know what's on the outside of your animal. So the next one is what it eats. If you come back to Pebble Go, there's a great section right on your page called food. And this is going to tell you all the things that your animal eats. So this tells me that black bears eat plants and animals. They eat fruit, nuts. They also eat fish and squirrels, and that they eat a lot of food in the fall and they don't eat in the winter. So on my sheet, I'm going to write at least 2 things that it eats. If you can fit more, that's great. If you can't, that's okay. So I'm going to write fruit and fish because those are the 2 I remember. Then where it lives. So you already told me about their habitat. This where it lives is going to talk about the range of where in the world your animal lives. So I'm going to scroll down here to where it says range. It has a picture of a globe, and it's going to show me a map. And on this map, I'm going to look for the purple, and that tells me where this animal lives. So I can see here on this map that black bears only live in North America, which is right up here. So on my paper, I'm going to write North America. If your animal lives in more than one place, so maybe you have North and South America, you can write both. If you have a lot of places, maybe your animal is found almost everywhere in the world, try your best to pick one, or you could just write most places in the world or something like that. But mine is only in one place, so I can write that. My next section here is predators. So predators means any animals that eat your animal. Now on some Pebble Go pages, this is on the page, but for some it's not. So you need to think about your animal. So I know that bears eat squirrels. So if your animal was a squirrel, your predator would be a bear, because bears, my animal, eat your animal, which is a squirrel. Now, a bear is at what we call the top of the food chain, which means that there's no animals that really eat bears. So my predators would probably be none. But if you have a smaller animal, then your animal might get eaten by others. So try your best to fill this in. If it's not on Pebble Go, you can have an adult help you find it on another website, or you can take your best guess depending on where your animal lives. For example, if you're a seal, I know seals live in the Arctic usually or along the oceans. And so I'm thinking of things in the ocean that might eat a seal. I'm thinking maybe sharks or orca whales. So depending on what you already know about your animal, you might be able to guess some of its predators, or you can ask an adult for help. And finally, the lifespan. That tells me how long your animal lives for. And I can find that on my Pebble Go page under life cycle. And it tells me black bears live for about 20 years. So in that section, I would write 20 years. In your final section on your page are 3 interesting facts. These facts can come from anywhere on this Pebble Go page. You might want to go to Fun Facts and copy these 3 facts. Maybe you had a food that you couldn't fit that you really wanted to include. You could write that as a fun fact. Maybe you have something that you saw in the video or when you listen to it. So if I had a video of a bear climbing a tree, maybe my fun fact would be that bears can climb trees. Or maybe you have something else interesting that you learned through another source outside of Pebble Go. Whichever 3 facts you choose, you're going to write them right here on your paper in this bottom section. If you can't fit them here, you can always write them on the back of the paper. And if you're not using this paper, just don't worry about the setup, just worry about making sure you have the information. Because next week we're gonna learn about adaptations, and then the week after that, we're gonna work on putting our posters together, where we're gonna take all of this information and put it onto a poster of some kind. And I will talk more about that next week. In the meantime, I want you to finish this paper. If you have any questions or run into any problems, you can send Ms. Chin or I a dojo message or an email, and we will get back to you as soon as we can. I hope everyone has a terrific Tuesday, and I will see you all soon.